Hey everybody. So back at work, and I realized, working these 12 plus hour shifts, since Tuesday, I've spent more time wearing this uniform than not wearing this uniform. But hey, that's the attraction of snowmaking this time of year. They get lots of overtime. Nobody else does. We. I've already, in my mind, I'm already gone. I don't plan to leave. I mean, before the end of the snowmaking season. Storylines. It's hard not to inhabit them, that stretch into the future. Yesterday's video was supposed to be about, letting go of those storylines, but instead I just proposed a few alternate storylines and people weighed in on them. For example, I have my Huawei phone here today. For example, Dan writes, with snowmakers, there's always a 100% chance of snow. Actually, no, there's not. Regardless of whether there are snowmakers and water and air and infrastructure and hoses and guns and all of that, we still need temps. We need a sufficiently low wet bulb temperature. Without that, we cannot make snow. So I mentioned yesterday the possibility, I came here, my purpose for coming here has changed so many times. I applied for this job and got it after Rose broke up with me, but before I started communicating with the woman I'm calling Casey, with whom I had a brief but very intense long distance thing. And then she ended it suddenly. We hadn't even had a fight. So it came to me as a huge shock. And well, I'll come to that. I'll come back to that. But first, so basically I applied for this job because I had put a resume together to apply for the weed job at the end of my mom's road, the cultivation job. And I didn't get it. Didn't even get an interview. But since I had the interview put together, and since Vail Resorts sends me, recruiting emails every year, I thought, what the heck, I'll send them my resume. And, I got hired. So here I am in California making snow. But my plan then was kind of nebulous. I wasn't really sure what I was thinking. I wasn't certain that things were over with Rose. Maybe I was thinking that I was going to make up enough money to get on over there. But then, I made a big mistake. I told her about Casey in a thoughtless way, and she got very, very angry at me, and she remains angry at me and will not speak to me. So I'm not going to go there, say anything style and hold a boombox up under her window or anything. If she's not on board with me coming over, I'm not going to do that. I, studying Spanish, I intend to learn it. I'm going to Mexico, and I'll address that with Dan's comment. So Dan writes, no on cars. Oh yeah, so one story that I was inhabiting pretty thoroughly for a very long time while I was here, I told lots of people about it, was that, I'm here to save money and buy a car so that I can drive cross country to see my kids, things like that. At the time I was thinking drive cross country to be with Casey. So Dan writes, no on cars. So anyway, and letting go of storylines, I let go of that one too. Maybe I'm not going to buy a car. And I also was going to get my teeth fixed. Maybe I'll get a bridge or something, but maybe not implants. It's just so freaking expensive. But Dan writes, no on cars. Do not waste the money. See, you waste a shit ton of money when you go to a strange place where you don't have a residence or a car. Then your wallet and bank account are just wide open and money is flying out. So no, getting a car would not be a waste of money. It might be the wrong allocation of that particular chunk of resources, but no, it definitely would save me money. Huge amounts of money. I could buy a decent car for what it would cost me to rent a car to drive, from here back to Arkansas. And I have a lot of stuff, So the money thing doesn't work. Definitely would be the smart thing to do to buy a used car. Although, I'm just jumping ahead of Dan to Anthony, used car prices are really high right now. The longer I wait, the lower they'll be. So Dan writes, no on cars, do not waste the money. KMO, I'm not you. I don't know what you want to do, but I would be saving money to buy a ticket to Republica Filipina and a ring. Not to go visit a dude in Mexico. Well, the dude in Mexico, is Mushroom Mike. He's a long time friend of the C Realm and Z Realm podcasts, more than just some dude in Mexico. But, you know, he lives in a really cool place in Mexico, and he can introduce me to the local scene. And what I really want is to be active in a scene somewhere, you know, to have a community of people. Like right now I'm active in the snowmaking scene, but it's temporary, and I'm just not part of the cult. You know, I sipped at the Kool-Aid, I didn't gulp. But I'm also feeling, you know, nihilistic and half broken, and so, you know, probably putting a bad spin on that, on my position here in the snowmaking community. But really, I'm a tourist here. I'm a total tourist. So Dan continues, I don't know how long you could live on your snowmaker earnings, but long enough to do the deed and organize an income properly. Maybe those bridges are burned, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either. Being alone isn't the end of the earth either. I've been alone for 5 years. I've had enough. I've had enough. And just, you know, from a strictly scientific point of view, middle-aged man living alone will die earlier and will want to die earlier. So no, living alone in perpetuity is not on the table. That is not a storyline I'm contemplating or even open to contemplating. Dan concludes, I'm just telling you what I think. Hope your Thursday talks are fruitful. So here's a killer one. You know, in the when I was feeling at my absolute worst, honestly, when I was contemplating things that I'll not mention here in a publicly available video, the word depression never entered my mind. But Iva writes, depression makes you numb and self-centered. It's good that you are talking with a therapist. I hope she helps. Mexican sun should do you good as well. So yeah, I never considered depression as, like, anyway. I wrote back saying, you know, I've never really accessed mental health care before, so I've never been diagnosed with depression. And Iva wrote back to say, I should have worded it better. I'm in no position to diagnose. I was just speaking from experience that during depressive episodes, I also turn inward and don't have energy or interest for the rest of the world. Something to be aware of. That's why I'm glad you are already speaking with a therapist. By the way, I like your insights, whether inward or outward oriented. Thoughtfulness and introspection seems hard to come by these days. So yeah, I was feeling a bit self-conscious about how, you know, typically my brand is to talk about big picture stuff, and here I am just fixated on my own personal story and, you know, emotional state and internal, you know, orientation, and feeling awkward about it. And, you know, a few people have written to say something similar. It's like, you know, some people say, I'm interested in you personally. You know, I'm interested in how you're doing. And other people have said, like what I've said is, you know, whatever you've trained your attention on, you know, for analysis or explication, I enjoy it. So thanks. All right. And Parker, I won't read it verbatim, but Parker said something basically to the effect of, oh, I'm sorry, the teeth are off the table. I was planning on following your adventure there. What's the place? El Dobrigado, I think. I'll put it up on screen here. There's a town just like a stone's throw from the U.S. border that has loads and loads of dentist office in it, and they all cater to Americans. So, you know, you cross that border and prices drop by half to 2/3. So lots and lots of Americans go there to get their teeth done. It's not terra incognita by any stretch. It's easily researched, easily accomplished. I'm thinking now I'll probably get my teeth done in Mexico City. More choices. And yeah, I might just go with a bridge there. Hold off. Hold off on the, what's the word I'm looking for? Implants. Yes. All right, this is 10 minutes. It's going to take a long time to upload. I very much enjoyed reading all of your responses yesterday as they came in. You know, I was here on the mountain, mostly at night, often in bitter cold, but taking your glove off so I can manipulate the phone and see what you kind, generous, and articulate folks have said to make me feel better. I very much appreciate it. I really do. All right. See you later.